Thanks, David. Well, a big shake-up of pensions is on the way, and there'll be winners and losers as the government looks to slash its pension spending by $2.5 billion. Social Services Minister Scott Morrison cut the crucial deal with the Greens late last night. It's expected to see around 170,000 pensioners receive an extra $15 a week, but 235,000 will have their pension reduced, while 91,000 will lose their part pension entirely. Well, fresh from those negotiations is Scott Morrison, who joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lisa.
Minister, what did you have to promise the Greens in exchange for their support to get these changes to the pension?
We've extended the process for the tax white paper, which will enable people now to make some submissions over the next 6 weeks on issues relating to retirement incomes, which was already within the scope of the tax white paper, and there was an extra engagement process with stakeholders on that issue, and that's what they were seeking, and that's what we're able to facilitate. The government's position on superannuation, though, has not changed, will not change. There will be no adverse changes to superannuation in this term, and we have no plans for that beyond this term. So our commitments on not taxing your super are very clear, and they're unchanged.
With these changes to the pension, though, what do you say to the more than 300,000 pensioners who will lose out on this deal, who went to the polls in 2013 believing the government's promise that there would be no cuts to the pension?
Well, there won't be any cuts to the pension in this term of Parliament, and that's what our promise was, and that's what this arrangement delivers. More than 90% of pensioners will either be no worse off, exactly the same, particularly those on full pensions, and there'll be 170,000, as you mentioned, who will actually be better off. And that's because we have a system now where people who own their own home and can have assets of more than $1 million, $1.15 million, and still receive a part pension. Now, that is a result of some changes that were made many years ago, and that's just kept creeping out there. And the pension is a welfare payment. It's there for people who are most in need. It's a safety net payment, and as a result, we're making these changes. The budget needs these changes, but importantly, for a fairer pension and a more sustainable pension. To those who have saved for their retirement, we say thank you for being a fully self-funded retiree. They've worked hard for that, and we're not going to go and tax your superannuation as Labor will.
All right, moving on. A week ago, Immigration Minister Peter Dutton denied the government was paying people smugglers to turn around boats heading for Australian waters. Was the Immigration Minister lying to the Australian public when he said that?
Well, I don't think that was the case at all. What we've simply said is that the officers who are part of Operation Sovereign Borders have always operated lawfully. That has always been my experience when I was the minister responsible for that operation, and I have no doubt that that's continued. We always conduct ourselves lawfully.
Well, no, Peter Dutton did say that it didn't happen.
Well, I've just said that our officers always operate lawfully.
Well, Peter Dutton's language has now changed, and Fairfax Media this morning has pictures of thousands of dollars allegedly handed over to the people smugglers. The UN Refugee Agency says passengers have confirmed to them that payments were made by officials acting on behalf of the Australian government. Are you outraged by these allegations if you say you always act lawfully?
I'm used to people making allegations in this area. For 5 years I was in the shadow portfolio and then in the ministerial portfolio. I had all sorts of people making accusations against our policies on stopping the boats. People said it couldn't be done. They said it was unlawful. They were wrong. We have always operated lawfully, and that's what the Minister has said, that's what the Prime Minister has said, and that's what I'm saying.
Why don't you want to clear the facts up?
I just did.
By?
Saying we've always operated lawfully.
Well, that's the problem, because these police officers say that the asylum seeker boat was... that the asylum seeker boat... my apologies, we've just got a bit of a problem here, was intercepted by the Navy warship HMAS Wollongong and an Australian customs boat. Why would these officials be travelling with huge wads of cash, presumably taxpayers' money?
Well, you're making a range of assumptions there which no one's confirmed from the government, and you're acting on the basis of information that is effectively hearsay. So I don't see why the government should need to confirm that. We've always acted lawfully. We've run a very tight operation. It stopped the boats. That's what the Australian people asked of us, Lisa. That's what we've delivered. So many, particularly whether it was in the media or the opposition, Bill Shorten, whoever, said it couldn't be done. In fact, some said it shouldn't be done. I disagree with all of that, and I think the government's record has proved those naysayers absolutely wrong.
Labor has asked the Auditor-General to investigate these claims. Will you support that investigation?
Oh, I'll leave those matters to those who are dealing with them, but the Labor Party has no policy in this area. If Bill Shorten thinks he could deal with this issue, the first thing he has to do at National Conference is to support the government's policy of turning back the boats, because that's what stopped them, and they're in complete denial. Over 50,000 people turned up on over 800 boats. I remember it. I was there. And, you know, talk about the killing season. The terrible tragedy of the killing season in the Labor Party is that how many deaths there were at sea under that administration. It was just a diabolical tragedy. Thankfully, that's ended under this government.
But, Minister, with respect, the trouble is by refusing to deny this story, you are opening up a new people smuggler business model. Basically, they can now charge asylum seekers a fee at the beginning, then get paid possibly by the Australian government as well. Effectively, it looks like they can double their wage and they can double their incentive.
Well, I just don't accept any of that. That may be your view, Lisa. It's not my view. It's not the government's view, and the government acts lawfully in relation to these matters. And I point to our success and how we've run all of these operations, and we will continue to have that success because of our resolve and our determination, and to do things in a way which will be effective.
OK, Scott Morrison, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Good to be with you.
Sylvia.
To Queensland, police on the Gold Coast are investigating